This is News 13 at noon with Tony Cedrone and Lauren Wells.
Thanks for joining us. The identity of the man who took part in an officer-involved shooting Sunday night has been released. 27-year-old Casper resident Christopher Benton has been confirmed dead after a standoff on the 1600 block of Kit Carson Avenue. Several neighbors tell News 13 they heard gunfire as late as 9 o'clock Sunday evening. Take a look.
Neighbors watched the incident unfold from the streets as Casper police were caught in a standoff with a 27-year-old Casper man by the name of Christopher Benton. Police were serving a search warrant for the distribution and trafficking of controlled substances and possession of an illegal firearm when the situation escalated. Casper police say Benton was armed and, quote, presenting lethal force toward the officers, resulting in an officer shooting and killing Benton. No officers were injured during the incident, and Casper Police Department will conduct its own internal investigation in addition to the DCI investigation to make sure all of the officers' actions were in accordance with department policies and procedures. Casper Police Chief Jim Wetzel says the officers directly involved in the shooting are being placed on paid administrative leave. However, he says this is no indication as to whether the officers' actions were justified.
Now, the Natrona County coroner issued a statement saying an autopsy will be conducted later this week. And after that shooting on Kit Carson Avenue Sunday evening, police officers went door to door, making sure neighbors stayed indoors. Neighbors say police officers were everywhere, and much of the road was blocked off until late Sunday evening. Amy Leet has this story.
Actually, my husband, they wouldn't let him through. He was coming home from church. They wouldn't let him through until like 10 o'clock last night.
Many neighbors who live on Kit Carson Avenue were shocked by a loud, unfamiliar sound.
There's 3 loud bangs. I actually thought somebody got in a car accident out here.
Witnesses say at about 8 p.m. they heard the noise, and shortly after, police officers and emergency services arrived.
Poked my head out. I was coming out to start the sprinkler, and the neighbor was hollering across the street, was saying, hey, somebody was shooting. Go back in your house. So, of course, I did.
Neighbors say they heard a second round of shots at about 9 p.m., followed by screaming. After the incident, a coroner was seen and what appeared to be a body bag was taken out of the house. According to neighbors, the house where the shooting took place didn't have a good reputation.
Oh, it's kind of a sketchy house. Otherwise, all I ever noticed is they had 2 very mean dogs that always made you take pause. I saw Metro roll by last night, so I'm sure they came and got him.
The house was known around the block to be a drug house, and a few days before the incident, witnesses say they saw police knocking on the door. They also say a young boy was often seen at the house, but they are not sure if he was there during the incident. Amy Leet, News 13, Casper.
And with temperatures rising, so is the use of life vests at the loaner stations along the North Platte River. After an accidental drowning last summer, a committee was formed to make the river safer. This year, 5 life jacket stations were installed for public use. The Respect Our River Committee is now looking for additional volunteer groups to help restock the jackets on a weekly basis.
We would love to have youth groups, church groups, service groups come to us and volunteer once a week to go and do the inventory of what they find and to restock the stations. It's a very simple activity, but it's very important.
And if you're interested in volunteering for the Respect Our River Committee, contact the Platte River Trails office to sign up. Now let's go ahead and check in with Lauren Wells for a quick look at today's weather. Lauren, what's it looking like outside today?
Well, Tony, very similar to what we saw yesterday. Sunny skies, pretty warm temperatures right now on our satellite radar. You can see we are starting to see some clouds, especially over the northwest and near Rawlins. Maybe even seeing a few here in Natrona County. Those are starting to break up. And here's a look at our current temperatures. Upper 70s, a few 80s. Worland at 80 degrees this afternoon. 80 for Lusk, 81 for Douglas, Cheyenne, and a little bit warmer in Gillette at 82 degrees. Here in Casper, we're almost to that 80-degree mark at about 79 degrees. Now, normal for this day is about 88 degrees. We haven't reached it quite yet, but we will surpass that later on this afternoon. No triple digits, but will we continue our warm streak? And is rain in the forecast? Those are the questions everybody wants to know as we head into the second half of our week, and I'll have your answer in just a bit.
Well, hopefully everyone's air conditioning is working today.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, most parents think they would never leave their child in a hot car, but in most accidental heat exposure deaths in children, that's exactly what happens. As temperatures are expected to be in the upper 80s all week, News 13's Wendy Lane looks into how no one is the exception in accidents like this.
After country star Carrie Underwood was the victim of her child and dogs getting accidentally locked in a hot car over the weekend, it shows it could happen to anyone. And the numbers of accidental lockouts in Casper are rising.
In 2014, we responded to 28 of those calls. The previous year was only 17. So we're seeing a spike in those numbers.
But accidental lockouts aren't the only problem when it comes to heat exposure. About 40 children die in hot cars on average each year. Most incidents happen after a parent accidentally leaves them in the car. And when temps are in the 80s, like they are right now for most of the state, the temperature inside of a car can become deadly in just 10 minutes.
There's been noted deaths in vehicles as low as 60 degrees. Within the first 10 minutes, 80% of the greenhouse effect takes place in the car, going from 60 degrees to potentially 125 degrees. A child's body heats up faster than ours, 3 to 5 times. And so it's harder on these little guys.
Public service campaigns urge parents to always check the back seat.
Look before you lock.
Or even put a stuffed animal in the car seat and move it to the front when the child is in the car as a reminder.
Your purse, your backpack, your employee badge, anything that you're going to need in your day, put it in the back seat. That way you can verify that your children are out of the vehicle. Or by chance you forgot and drove to work with them, you're going to remember to take them back to the daycare instead of leaving them in the parking lot.
Wendy Lane, News 13, Casper.
Well, members of the Wyoming Highway Patrol have picked their Highway Patrolman of the Year. His name is Mark Russell, and News 13's Ray Bogan went for a ride along with Trooper Russell this morning. And Ray, what do you have for us?
Tony, that's right. Trooper Russell had aspired to be in law enforcement since he was in high school. He's been with the Wyoming Highway Patrol since 2011 and began his career in 2007. Trooper Russell initially got into law enforcement because he wanted to help others and liked the fast-paced feel of being a police officer. Although he still likes the fast pace, he says he's matured over the years and now puts a bigger emphasis on educating the public.
I've learned from the people that I've dealt with that sometimes maybe a speeding ticket's effective, but education and being out there and leaving an impression about what Wyoming is and Wyoming law enforcement is sometimes a greater way to accomplish our goal in highway safety.
Tony, Wyoming Highway Patrol troopers can work hard, especially when they're short-staffed. To give you an idea, Trooper Russell received his current patrol car in 2012. It already has 111,000 miles on it. Tony, back to you.
Wow, Ray. Thank you. And still to come on News 13 at noon, it happens to all of us. Sometimes food goes down the wrong pipe. But if you saw